pulling the shoulders back so the arms behind. Rubbing the hands. And then rubbing the knees. Getting the belly and the back activated. Same thing with the belly and the back, but now just breathing and bringing the hands in and out. getting the body turning. Pulling in the rope. And reaching forwards, elbow pulling back. Up and down. And rubbing the hands again. Nice. Whereas you're palming, you can just put tip side to side a little, just to keep something moving. reaching up, pointing the two fingers, and then out to the side, and keeping the head still, looking down to the left hand, and then pulling the eyes round and looking down to the right hand. And the hands up again, down into prayer. And now the hands stay together, go up and down, and take the eyes with them. So the head trying to stay still. Hands come in really close, like you're brushing your nose. And then the eyes get taken up with the hands. Hands up and out again, pointing the fingers again. And then making the hands, keeping the head in the middle, keeping the eyes looking forwards. Being aware of the movement of the hands with your peripheral vision. Slowly try and move the hands backwards a little bit so that you're barely able to see them. It's almost like you're sensing the movement rather than seeing it. And then bringing the hands up again. And down. And then let's just bring it into how we would meditate. And now the eyes focusing point on the ground, about 45-degree angle. They're not really looking because your eyes are hooded, almost closed. So what you can see is blurred by your eyelashes. Bring the eyes to a point, not to see something, but to keep the front brain locked in and controlled. And then the back brain can diverge, can expand outwards, homing in order to keep this locked up. But it's my back head, my back brain, and my whole back, my shoulders, down to my hips, sort of expanding backwards. Rub the hands again. The front centers, head, heart, and belly are all drawing into themselves, contained, and the backs of the centers are expanding outwards and coming around. You're becoming enveloped in your own compassion. Over the down chin. Pulling the muscles here, tightening the muscles, clenching your belly. Fists close, eyes clench closed, and then you expand everything out. So this feels like the Min Meng is clenching. And then the Min Meng relaxes and the Dan Chen clenches. Feel the centers close down. So the sort of hands together are the front centers closed in, and the back can then open out. Do a little bit of the butterfly. There's something quite magical about this. You've got feet together, hands together, and the eyes are sort of together. The eyes are sort of crossing, but not trying to focus close in. So there's no strain on the eyes. Feel the most obvious really is the shoulders. Like my shoulder blades that sort of come away from the spine and are sort of lifting a little bit. That bend low, the essence of Tai Chi, the Tai Chi classics, he says, pluck up the back. So this feeling that you're being pulled up from here. So you've got the shoulders and they become the wings as the energy comes out and comes around. And you've got these points here, these feel like they're swelling. Remember that picture of Blake's, the red dragon, the back of the devil, like these wings coming out the shoulders, but he's got these sort of curly horns, the back of the head, rather than sticking out the front here. So it's like that, like you've got sort of a bony growth coming out of either side of your skull. And then the same here, the hips, the back of the hips. So as it comes away from the sacrum, there's a sense here of something bulging out and flaring around. the quieter I can become, I sort of shrink to nothing. I'm focusing in and just shrinking, but my whole back is expanding and emanating. Stretching the legs a bit. The other side. The other side again. And the other side again. Then back to the squat. The sacrum spreading. Lying back. First, before we do the cycling, use your hands to pull one knee up towards your shoulder and really stretch the other leg straight. And then the straight leg, bend it and bring it up, release the other leg and straighten it. So we're just swapping round. And straighten the leg as much as you can. So tense the quadricep to get the leg straight. And then bring the knee up and let the other leg go. Pull the knee up, let the other leg go, and pulling this knee towards the shoulder. And then we're going to twist the leg over the body. So if you have your right knee up, just take it with your left hand and draw it down to the left. So it's crossing over the body. And the other leg, bend it and use the other hand to pull it into the buttock. Trying your best to keep the shoulders flat. So turn the head the other way. And slowly just breathe and just let the knee drop down. So really twisting the spine. What's behind you, let it go. And then bring it up with the knee. Let the other leg go. Pull it up towards your shoulder first. And then just use the opposite hand to pull that knee across and bend the other leg behind, catching the foot with your hand, pulling that heel into your buttock and twisting. And the leg you're pulling over, you can either keep it bent at the knee or you can straighten the leg. And then you're more likely to get the foot on the ground. Just trying to keep the shoulders flat, so it really needs you to turn the head. And then back up. Let the legs go. One more this side. Putting the knee up. And then taking it with the opposite hand, pulling it over, bend the other leg and pull it into the buttock. And back. Take the other knee. Pulling it over the body with the opposite hand. And bending the other leg, pulling it in. And then just back round. And now cycling, but with the hands on the down chair. And then up and into the sumo squat. And then coming up. Now it's just loosen. Get the single weightedness, the slipping from side to side. Into riding horse, but we still have that sense that the liquid is sloshing around inside you. the stretching, yoga. They extend the body, but then they stop. They keep the extension going even though the body has stopped. And you can see, when we just do a little bit of it, when you come out of it, you have a real clarity of mind. It's like it's just cleaned the room, cleaned your mind. So it's almost like the opposite of Tai Chi, because Tai Chi is all about the movement and the flow, the energy. And that will tend to make everything else around you a bit blurry. So we need both. But in a sense, the Tai Chi is more important. For these standing postures, we just have to make sure that they're still moving. There's still movement within them. The sacrum is the center of the physical body. It's the heavy bone. Apparently, the reason it's called the sacrum os, sacred bone, is because, when the skeleton, when the body decomposes and turns back to dust, the last part to crumble is the sacrum, being the thickest, biggest bone. So they assumed that that was the bone from which you were regrown, when at the end of the world. So there's a sense that this is like the seed. This is the center from which everything else grows out from. And the Dantian is just the front of it, really, just the energetic equivalent. Just be with the gravity, just feeling the gravity coming, like my body is collecting these lines of flux, these lines of gravity, and I'm channeling them down my spine. And then when that gets to the sacrum, my sacrum distributes down the two legs where they reach down into the ground. And then I just lift up again. So reaching up in order to bring or direct these lines that flow naturally down through my body. Drawing down. So it's like the more lines of gravity I can gather, the heavier I will be. Just want to feel my skeleton. This is like evaporation from the ground coming up, condensing above your head. And then these are the lines, the rain. Now feel all the vertebrae, each one click, 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 until you get to the sacrum, and then, it pops across the hips, down the femur, down the shins, into the feet and into the ground. You can think of rain, water. So when it's in its liquid state, it's relatively heavy, so it's dropping down. It's heavier than the air. And then the sun comes out and evaporates, gets the water to evaporate and rise up, where it cools, condenses, forms a cloud, and rains down. Riding horse. Just feel it. The gravity's pulling you down. It's raining, so you're getting wetter and wetter. Your clothes are getting more and more heavy. But also the sun is warm, so it's causing a mist to rise up from you. And the water is both liquid and sinking, and also gaseous and rising. That's all gravity. It's all physical, really, material. Feel gravity pulling at your sacrum. That will drift it forwards a little bit as it sinks, because my thighs are at an angle. And feel your big toes pressing into the ground. And then just bring your mind to the four points of the body that are naturally rising. So the crown of the head, the tip of the tongue on the roof of the mouth, which is pushing upwards, the thymus, which is also trying to lift. And finally, the knees. Like you want to dance. Your knees want to come off the ground. So when we're walking, if we're just walking just for the love of walking rather than because we've got to get somewhere, then it will tend to be the knees that lead you. The knees are coming up and reaching out. So those are naturally light, those points. If they're not, then we have to make an effort to lift them. We have to make a physical effort. So we want the levity not to be physical, not to be material. It's of the aspects of me that do not have mass, do not weigh anything. My energy, my spirit, my mind, my moods, like my cheerfulness, the parts of me that just naturally want to come up. And now let's work with that in the same way that we worked with the gravity. So just reversing the circuit. This is more tricky because we're so used to working physically. So we have to feel it as like a mood. It's like something in me is just cheering up. So something is rising up my body, creeping its way through, and then reaches up to the heavens. And that causes something to drop down all around me like a golden rain. And then again through the body. So it's not enough just to use my muscles. I have to use my spirit, my imagination, to actually change sufficiently so that this cheering up really is an up. This is much more difficult because it so much wants to become physical. Just make sure it's more emotional than physical. Heart. Fireworks, the firework goes up. You can't see it when it's going off, then it explodes in the sky, and all these beautiful sparkles slowly descend. Back into our voice. And just feel it now. So you've got gravity, you've got the rain that's drizzling down, flowing down your body. You've got the levity, which is just your mood that's lifting. You're becoming happier. So those two forces, which are moving in opposite directions, create like a force field. If you get it really well, then it almost feels like you're hovering in space. You're just held by that force field. And then we can just switch our mind. So now feeling the gravity as the mist that's evaporating and rising up from your body. Almost like you're being lifted by this rising mist. And the levity as this cascade of sparkles that's falling down all around you. And gravity is a heavy sacrum, levity is a light heart or a light sternum. And ideally, those 2 points are directly over each other. And then the head is really just the expression of the heart. It's like the openness, the lifting openness that rises from here, bursts the head open. Like someone's taken the top of your skull off and it's now just shining a light upwards. And you can just feel as soon as you think, as soon as your mind congeals into words and thoughts and images, you lose this. It's now become dark and self-centered. And so this is why the head is just so difficult. And now, moving from leg to leg, feeling the two legs sort of doing opposite things. So when one leg is full, it's supporting me, it's sort of passively supporting me. And when the leg is empty, it's now got the ability to move me. So the empty leg is active. Here it's actively pushing me into this leg, and then it's actively pulling me out. Now it's more than 50-50. So now this is the active leg, so it's actively pushing me. And then it's actively pulling me. The difficulty is as you go through the 50-50 point, because that's where you have to switch legs. The active one has to become passive and vice versa. And that's tricky. reaching, grabbing and pulling in with my hand and with my foot. So this foot is now grabbing at the ground and pulling at it, and that's moving me across. And then that pulling is basically gathering enough strength for it to support me. Sacrum dropping. Feel the kidneys. Almost like your spine is collapsing a little and bulging into the kidneys. So sinking. When I bring strength into my lower back, it's basically projecting me upwards. So when we're in riding horse, we're trying to reduce that. So my spine is just the smooth curve, the back of the fifth circle that includes the other person in front of me. So that's exactly the same as when we're sitting in meditation, just getting these front centers to converge and close so that the back can open out. Riding horse is just exactly that. My whole back is flaring out from the spine and the front is gathering in. So just the figure of 8, really. And now let's feel this little rotation that's going on in the lower back. If you think the spine, think of the Ming Men, is pointed on your lumbar spine, just opposite your dantian, really. So remember Leonardo's Vitruvian Man? You know, the man is like this in the circle. Yeah, so it's clear from that that the navel is the middle of the body. And so if you think of your spine extending down into the feet and up into the top of the head, then the Ming Men is the center of the spine. What's beneath it rotates like this. So there's a feeling that your heels are digging back and down and under, and the energy's rising up the front of the leg. So let's just try that. Let's try it one at a time. So I'm going down this leg and up, down this leg. Trying to get this sense of this rotation in the sacrum. Try not to use too much muscle. Just try and see it in your mind and relax into it. And back into riding horse. And now just feel this like it's dropping from your Ming Men, slipping down and sort of under, but without tensing up the muscles. And that's wanting to happen. What stops it from happening is our legs pushing against it because they're hurting. I just have to relax down into my legs. And then I'll always get this sense that the base of my spine is getting underneath me. And then it's the same thing really, but now it's the two circles. So the two circles that we were doing like this have now just slipped onto the horizontal plane. You can visualize the circle with the hand. You can visualize it looping around each foot. And just making sure the sacrum stays heavy so that this doesn't become top heavy, which it tends to do when we get a lot of activity in the arms. And then the same thing, but now with one foot forwards. So it's a bit more clearer really when we're in bow and arrow. So I'm brushing the knee to make sure I go around the outside edge of the foot. Trying my best to keep the sacrum relaxing so that these two circles remain separate. So as I go around one circle, it's very much like I'm leaving the other one behind. And then the other part. And really listen. So the spirit is attending. It's the problem with repetitive, simple exercises. They're just repeating the past, really. So spirit enables the situation to become creative. There's a sense that something new could pop out at any moment. Just a tiny detail that makes it interesting that you hadn't noticed before. We have to make sure that the practice is alive. Thinking to yourself, that's a sure sign that it's not alive. So you're listening. As soon as you think to yourself, you're not listening anymore. You're not aware. Okay, and then back to riding horse. And now the figure of 8. When we do the two circles, we're repeating and repeating and trying to just feel like the two sides of the body are sort of falling away from each other. So the two circles definitely become separate. And then we join them back together again in the right way with this sense of a flowing continuity of the figure of 8. So I'm going around this foot with this hand, and this hand is coming in to connect with the foot. I'm effectively using both hands to trace the figure of 8, but both hands feel quite different. So the opposite hand comes in and connects with the foot. You can either feel it just going down to connect with the foot, or you can feel it gathering the strength from the ground and bringing it up. And that's what holds me up. Either way, you end up holding the ball. So waving hands in the clouds effectively. The hand that flies out has the centrifugal and it lifts up. The hand that's coming, the opposite hand is dropping down. That's with the gravity. The two circles are still there. There's still this sense of separation of the two sides. But now I'm also joining the two sides up with the cross energy. Bring it back. Gravity, heavy sacrum, levity, a light heart. The gravity, levity are the first two aspects of our fourfold, and they define the space that we operate in. The world, if you like. And then the other two aspects of the fourfold, simple, it's really life and death. They sort of define time. So you've got space and time. So think of death. So your own death is the least of it, really. It's more the dead ancestors. There's far more dead people than there are living people. So there's a real enormous, almost infinite pool of death. And so there's a sense that we're rising from that. We rise from the past. We come into the future. And what enables us to come into the future in a way that isn't simply repeating death, repeating the past, is spirit. So spirit enables us to come creatively, to issue forth with sparkle. And that's just life. That's the life force, the Elan Vital. So they're both really important. You know, like Buddhists, you know, I know quite a few Buddhists, and they all have like a little shrine, normally in their living room in the corner. And on that shrine, they light incense, but there's also photographs of either their parents or their grandparents, you know, deceased. loved ones, maybe a master. Also pictures of like living masters. But it's like, just standing there, just praying to your ancestors. It's really important. And John was really into it. It's a bit like attending to the energy that's behind you. We can't see it. We can barely sense it, and yet it's really there and it's really important. And so we forget this just for the moment of expanding into our back. Now, that's very similar to just forgetting the moment in order to let your energy, your memory sift back through time and maybe bring friends to the fore. When I was at college, when I knew Roberta at the very beginning, my best friend was a Chinese guy from Hong Kong, and he was in the same department, and we used to eat together at the Royal College of Art. And I remember having this conversation with him about whether there was life after death, and he was saying there wasn't, and I was saying, of course there is. And then I came in the next day to be told that he'd been killed in a car crash. But it's like he's there all the time. It's like he's always in my mind, even though this was like, 40 years ago. And my grandfather, he died when I was 4. The last time I saw him was before I was 4. And yet he's the strongest person in my life. There's such goodness came out of him, and I could feel it. So that's the sort of reality that we want to carry with us. It's not the daily reality. It's not even the reality of the living people. We just need to embrace that aspect of the past so that it can come through us and into the future. And now, just lifting the foot up, I want to come into the foot. This is in the form all the way through. When I bring my weight into the foot, I want to get into it cleverly, intelligently. So circling around is what I want, is to be able to put my weight in the foot without blocking the energy that wants to come up into me. So I need to go down around the outside edge so that the energy from the ground can come up the inside and feed my body. So when I'm standing like this leg is bent and there's a constant flow. I'm flowing down into the outside edge. The ground is flowing up into me. And if I can keep my mind with that, then it just continues. And that's mind continuous. Mind continuous is a real effort. It won't happen by itself. So I skirt, I slip around the outside edge, and that allows the inside, the instep, to rise up and suck the energy from the ground. We really have to catch the mind that keeps it going. It's like you've got to be really awake and listening. So like a readiness. This is why, Tai Chi being a martial art has real usefulness. Because the martial artist, the fighter, the one thing he has to be is really awake and ready. So I'm lifting the ground up to support me. I'm not settling onto the ground. I'm bringing it up, my leg, at least as high as the hip. I skirt the foot round back of the heel, round the outside edge, through the toes to the big toe. Then the circle is complete and I can bring the other foot off the ground. So with each repetition, just try and get the knee higher. And that'll just pull you down into the sacrum and get this rotation going on in the sacrum. So this one, I want to get this right up. Let's just bring it back. Standing on one leg is really useful because you have to stay with it. So this sense here, and then this sense of the vomiting circuit in the upper back. Just bring it. Using this alternation sort of rub between the alternate flows. Like two snakes coiling around each other. Side. It's still there.